Sure, Sir Isaac Newton unraveled the mysteries of gravity. But could he have unraveled the mysteries of Rubik's Cube? 3 weeks ago, Judge Smith retired to her chambers with Exhibit A, Rubik's Cube. She hasn't been seen since. Warning, once you get your hands on Rubik's Cube, you may never be able to put it down. Rubik's Cube, over 3 billion combinations, but just one solution from Ideal.
The Rubik's Cube. A toy that came from hundreds of years of puzzles before it, from the 15 puzzle to the oddity that Larry Nichols created in 1959. The Rubik's Cube has gone through many ups and downs, from the Rubik's Cube craze of 1981, where there was almost 5 million Rubik's Cubes sold, to its eventual decline in the mid-1980s, and then its resurgence again in the early 2000s. The Rubik's Cube is an amazing toy that should have kids entertained for years to come. It may seem like the cube was always around, but it's a relatively recent invention. The original official Rubik's Cube dates back to when Erno Rubik created it in 1978. He is a Hungarian-born inventor and architect who originally designed the then known as Magic Cube for his class on architecture. In the very beginning, it was just an attempt to make a structurally sound object that had fully movable parts. Originally made out of wood, the first Magic Cube was shown to Rubik's class and they immediately loved it. Seeing the mass market viability, the relative ease of production, and his familiarity with patent law, he was easily able to patent his design for the first ever Magic Cube. Immediately after his patent, he went to different toy companies and offered them his idea. The company Ideal quickly picked up the Magic Cube, but forced him to rename it to the Rubik's Cube. In 1980, Ideal decided to start an expensive advertising campaign that involved television and newspaper adverts. These advertisements, along with a few Toy of the Year awards by Germany and France, helped skyrocket the popularity of the cube. From the duration of 1981 to 1983, the Rubik's Cube became an amazing worldwide phenomenon, selling 200 million cubes in those 2 years alone, and quickly cementing it as one of the most popular toys of all time. Due to its ease of use, cheapness, and practically limitless abundance in almost any corner store, the Rubik's Cube hit its first major stride. But then, tragedy struck. There is no clear and decisive reason for why the Rubik's Cube's popularity declined in 1983. In December of 1982, the New York Times wrote, "The craze has died." The impact of the cube was clear, but the downfall was not. China and other communist countries were still in the midst of the Rubik's Cube craze when it died out in the Western world. And due to cube shortages, the craze lasted longer than expected, leading to the cube to maintain its popularity for a little while longer than it would have otherwise. The Rubik's Cube steadily maintained modest sales from 1983 to 2000, but during the early 2000s, the Rubik's Cube started to rise in popularity. It was cool to own a Rubik's Cube again. From 2001 to 2003, the cube steadily rose in sales, and in 2003, it marked the first Rubik's Cube tournament since the early 1980s. The World Cube Association formed soon after in 2004. The sales of the cube were steadily increasing, leading to a peak of 15 million cubes sold in 2008. The appeal of the Rubik's Cube involved a community of online video sharers and forums like the subreddit r/cubers, sharing their own strategies of solving the cube. The cube may seem hard to solve, but in a way it's very easy. The way one can solve the cube is by initially understanding the way it works and executing codes that are usually given in the manual. You will need to look at it from the white side, which is considered the front. The front is also called F, and the other sides are L and R for left and right respectively, and U and D for top and bottom. The last is B for back. Normally, you turn the side 90 degrees clockwise, but if there is an apostrophe next to the letter, then you spin it counterclockwise. Solving it is just as easy as twisting it in the codes provided online or in a manual that comes with your cube. And after you understand and remember the basic codes, it's only a matter of getting faster. Ever since the patent for the Rubik's Cube expired in 2000, there have been many different Chinese and other Asian companies creating their own variants of Rubik's Cubes. Companies like Moyu and Shengshao have been steadily producing Rubik's Cubes and other variants without the threat of legal action ever since, although the Rubik's Cube isn't alone in its puzzly, colorfully goodness. There are other types of puzzles, and the earliest two are simple expansions of the basic idea. These first two offshoots were the 2x2 and the 4x4. There has been many different types of Rubik's Cubes, including the German House Cube, and even some novel cubes like single color cubes and the Homer Simpson cubes. The only officially sanctioned cubes by the World Cube Associations are the 2x2, the 3x3, the 4x4, the 5x5, the 6x6, the 7x7, the Square 1, and the Scube. Other twisty puzzles, as they are known, are the Pyraminx and the Megaminx and the Rubik's Clock. Though the Rubik's Cube has had its ups and downs, it will still be loved by many for years to come. Even if you yourself can't solve one, you can still enjoy or appreciate the fun and enjoyment people have who can solve them.